Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Niso. Okay, so today I will be talking about something that is very sort of dear to my heart and something that I'm actually currently going through. So basically, I just want to talk about, um, like going through a rough patch or going through a tough time or a tough season. And okay, so just my testimony. I recently lost my job. Not lost per se, but more of like a termination of the contract. Like my contract, like I was done. It was an internship, and like the time period was like done. So when you plan in your head, sometimes you plan in your head and you're like, okay, so I'm finishing in March, and yeah, like I've got, like, you're planning and you still have the money, and like everything is still nice and rosy, and yeah, well, you're feeling yourself. And so my job, like I finish and I'm just like, oh, thank God, I can rest, I can sleep. Like after endless nights and like, I was tired of everyone. Like I was tired of seeing the same people, and I was just like, I need a long vacation. So in my head, while I was preparing for this time, because I did prepare for it, and we finished internship in March, and I was supposed to write an exam in June. So in my head, it's like March, April. Okay, I'm in Bali March, so it's like April, May, June, pass the exam, July, you're hired. It's just like a 3 month, just a little 3 month holiday. What's that? I mean, who doesn't want a 3 month holiday? I prepared for that. I had made my savings, like I had planned my life around that. And after that, well, the time came and I was just like ready. And now it's like proper studying, like focused, like I'm studying. We study with my friends. We go write the exam. And I kid you not, I get to the exam. It's like a thick paper. I get there and I'm like, okay, let's do this. It was like MCQs, multiple choice questions, and I tell myself that, you know what? So I get there, I write my exam, I open the paper, and hi, first page, it's rough. Second page, it's rough. Third page, rough, and so on and so forth. I'm like, hey, what is this? I read the exam and I'm just like, by the end, I was just like, you know what? I could have taken all the hours in the world and this is still like Greek to me. It's just like, you know what? I doubt I'll pass this exam. Realistically speaking, I was very real with myself. So I failed the exam, and unfortunately, me and like my buddies, we failed the exam. It's like, okay, this is June. The next exam will be written in November. Hey, so now my 3 month plan is like gone. Like it's not there anymore. So I sit and I'm like, yeah, what the hell we gonna do now?
What the hell we gonna do now?
So that happens, and when you from a system, like I studied in Russia, so like there's the Atrabotka system, and the Atrabotka is like you can redo or like rework whatever it is that it's literally, that's a literal translation. So there was the wait, the failing, and no rewriting. That was traumatic enough. And then on top of all that, like November, when are we? Oh my god. During that 3 month period, I didn't really apply much. Like I was very lax in applying for jobs. And yeah, now when June came, I was just like, after that exam thing, I was just like, yeah. So I started like vigorously, like my friends and I started like, okay, I had my CV ready, but like made it, like spiced it up, applied, like the jobs were coming now, like many posts on the paper. We applied. And funny enough, like these people till this day, like I think I made like a lot of applications, and very few of them responded. I think only 2 out of all those applications that I made responded. Yo, and I was just like, yeah, really, this is my life. Is this my portion? Fast forward, like now the savings that I had, I can't live the way I was living anymore, like buying takeaways anyhow. And the worst of all was when my birthday came around and everyone is broke, like everyone. Not, like it just keeps feeling like nothing is working, because I'm actually going through these problems as we speak, and I'm hoping that when I watch this in the future, soon, like maybe when I watch it next week, who knows. Please Lord, but like yeah, like nothing seems to be going okay, like the people that the person I'm in a relationship with, we're not seeing eye to eye the way I thought we would. And when you're in such a state, where you're down, you're feeling down, you start doubting everything. And I remember at a certain point I couldn't even pray. Like prayer was just out of the question, not because I didn't have the desire to pray, but because like I just felt like my prayers were not going anywhere. It was just like you're just talking to yourself. I didn't even know where to start, like which part of my life do I start, because I'm leaking and I'm getting drained. So yeah, I couldn't pray, and I went to this man of God. I asked Mom, because I started feeling like I'm losing my mind. I told my friends the same. I was just like, guys, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Am I the only one? And they really encouraged me, and we were sharing. Like one thing I've seen through the season is the people that actually do love me, and the people who care about me. Like it's really shown me. So I talked with them, and they gave me the strength to go to this guy, like to this man of God, in Manzini. I needed therapy, but like with that godly element. And so I went to him and we prayed, but the highlight of it all was him saying that he doesn't need to give me like special prayers for this, because what I had gone for was that connection with God. Like I feel like I'm losing that connection with God, and it was very scary, because then what else am I going to rely on? Who else am I going to rely on if I don't rely on God? So I prayed with him, and he told me something very distinct, and he said, like the enemy, which is the devil, he will come to you and lie to you, and plant these doubts in your head. And after some time, it starts sounding like the truth. It starts sounding like a reality, and it starts sounding like, like this is what I'm destined for, And when he said that, I think I just needed to hear it from someone else. It's very important to surround yourself with people that will encourage you in tough times, and people who are going to sharpen you, especially spiritually. Well, for me, when he said these things, I was touched, and he told me to take some time and to find God And I thought it was going to be hard as he was saying it. I was just like, but I've been trying. But like, I think I needed to hear it from someone. And I went back home and I took time, I believe in prayer. I believe in reading the scriptures. I believe in fasting, because I feel like these things work for me in their own particular way. So that's what I did. I took time and I cried out to God, and I feel like for the first time in a long time, like I was able to properly communicate with him, because communication is not just about like, picking and choosing. Like I want to say all this, and it's like verbal diarrhea, and you're just talking to God and you're just speaking, and you're not listening to anything that's coming back. It's a two-way thing. So I feel like I was able to talk and be frank with God and speak what's in my heart. And I must admit there was a lot of complaining, especially in the beginning, sometimes even now still, but I feel like the complaining now is different from the complaining back then. But what I noticed was I started hearing God, and no, it wasn't like some sonic miso, turn on the TV, to sit down. It wasn't like that. It was like in various things. The way I hear God speak to me is in other people and the messages that I'm going to hear, and especially if they're going to be repetitive. So I was able to hear that. I was able to hear people speak about things that were on my mind, or things I had like coincidentally read about in my quiet time. And it really made a world of a difference to me. And although the situation like seems to be getting worse, for the first time I have hope, like that I am gonna get through this and I am going to come out victorious. And I've been crying, guys. Like, I'm not a crier, but I've been crying. And it's like the tears that just go those tears. I've been crying and I've been going through the most. And today what actually just like nail on the coffin, if you may, or like cherry on top, whatever, like on top of all my tribulation, guys. So on top of all that, I'm sitting on a call. So while I'm on the phone with her, like the TV, like I just mute, like I paused what I was playing, and I finished my call after like 30 minutes, and I tried to turn the TV on. Nothing. Turn it on. Hey, and I'm like, what's this now? What is this now? Can't I rest? Hey, so I take, like, I go on YouTube, Srazo, like, I go on YouTube, like, what do you do when your TV is doing this? Take off the plug, blah, blah, blah. None of it is working. Or like, that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. You need to get it repaired. With what money? I cried, guys. Like, I just sat on the floor. I just sat down. I faced up, and the tears were just coming down. I was like, why? This is all I have. Like, bro, when it rains, it freaking pours. Long story short, I was just like, meaning that I need to go and read my scriptures. So I went, got my Bible, and I was led to read. No, like literally, I felt like reading. That's how I was led. I felt it here, and I was like, okay, let me read the book of Job, because I'm like, this is like many degrees less intense, of course, but like, I mean, it's like back to back, slap. So I read, and I'm just gonna go through some of the notes. I just read Job chapter 1 and chapter 2, or part of chapter 2 up to like half of it. I read all of it, but I noted half of it here. So one thing I noted about Job was that Job was blameless before God. Like, he was blameless. I realized that even the best of us, even the most righteous of us, go through tests in life. it doesn't matter whether you're doing things right or whether you're doing things wrong. If you're a child of God, you are going to go through these tests and these trials. What's the difference between test, trial, temptation? A temptation is something that will bring out the worst in you. It's meant to bring out the worst in you, but it is an opportunity to overcome. So go read 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13 about that. And then, but basically it talks about that there's nothing, like you can't be tempted above like your capacity, so that's that. And through that temptation, God is the one that gives you the victory over it. It's not, you can't do it by yourself. You need God to go through it. And then a trial is something that refines our lives and leaves us purer and with stronger faith and character that God can use to bless others and yourself. And I think that's something similar to what Job went through. And then tests are things that come from God, and this is something that God uses to learn whether we can assimilate and apply the lessons that you learn from that test for living a godly life. So I think what Job went through was tests and trials, because the test was that, will Job be able to stand? Because what happened was the devil approached God and was like, oh, I've been going through earth, blah blah blah, and God was like, yo, there's my guy Job, and he's doing the job, like he's doing the job, he's righteous, he's doing everything. And then the devil was like, he's only doing that because he's been given everything, you've sheltered him. If you take away all these things, he's just gonna be like the rest of them, like he's just not gonna, it's like fake, you know what I mean? And then God was like, but no, like I trust Job, like go do what you must, do what you must, but don't like spare his life, don't touch his life. And the things, guys, that happened to Job were like a lot, like back to back, Pele, like not back to back as in like today, next week. It was like srazu, like everything was like there's no reason for anyone to go through that. Yeah. And what I learned from Job's story was, first of all, righteous people will go through tests, they will go through trials, and it is always to build you and to make you stronger and to draw you closer to God. Do not allow your test and your trial to pull you away from God, or to make you doubt God, or to make you blame God, and forget who He is. And if you read further along, God does talk to Job and reminds him of who he is and all he's done. The vast things that he's done. And Job acknowledges and says, you know what, I've been wrong, I take my complaints back, you are God and you are good. And like, I'm paraphrasing, don't shoot me, but yeah. And also, to whom much is given, is much is required. But I like Kanye's version that says, to whom much is given, much is tested. And sometimes you can get comfortable in your blessings, or in the things that you've acquired for yourself, be it that cushy job, that lovely house, that the financial freedom, the lovely relationship, like the dream relationship, that stood the test of time, and but in the end, the enemy, the devil, will use the same things to accuse you before God. And it's a test. Like, when you go through these things, you need to understand that you need to stay close to God, worship Him through the storm, and that will grow. That's how your faith is growing, that's how your character is growing. Because when it comes down to the nitty-gritties, you realize that the things that you have when you're at your barest, when you're at your lowest point, the only person who will be with you when you're crying in the middle of the night is God. Also, it's okay to cry. I'm not gonna come here and tell you don't cry. Everything happens for a reason. Everything does happen for a reason, but it's okay to cry. And Job was grieving the whole time. I mean, it wasn't just like one, it was like waves, bruh. Like it was like COVID up in here, like, and the next one was worse than the other. The man suffered. He had boils. When his friends came to see him, they were crying. They were like, oh my god. They couldn't even speak to him. They sat in silence. They were just like, bruh, like, is this your life? It's gonna pass. It really is. Okay, I even wrote a conclusion. Let me just read you my conclusion. So first of all, the devil will ask for you from God. He will, and don't be afraid when it happens. It's a sign that you're doing something right. You're doing something right. I mean, in God's perspective, there's progress, devil, in your life. So he will, and God may allow it, and not because he doesn't love you, but because he has far better for you. In the end, Job was blessed with double what he had. The Bible says he lived a better second half of his life than he did the first. Like the second part of his life was like way more blessed. And then also, you need to be able to discern that these are tests and trials. No one is that unfortunate. No one is that like hated by the world or hated by the universe, as they put it, or like misfortune. No one is that unlucky. It's a test and it's a trial, and that way you'll be able to prepare your heart and prepare yourself accordingly, and that's where your faith comes to play. And also, you need to worship God through them all, through all the tests, the trials, the temptations, everything. And God will bless the faithful, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I mean, so if you come out victorious from this, you will have, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's not even from the Bible, but that's like, it's the circle of life. It's the truth, and so I think basically that's what I wanted to come through. Like, this is not a sermon by any means. If you feel like it's a sermon, then that's up to you, but like, that's all I wanted to talk about. And I can't wait to watch this one day and be like, oh my gosh, I was really, look at my dark circles. Okay, I've always had circles in my life, like, that's just me, but like, they're deep, like, Fana, you can't see it now, but I've been crying. Like, my skin is breaking out. It's all passing. I know that in my heart, and I pray to God for the peace, and in this time, use this time to reflect and to learn and to document. One thing I haven't been doing is documenting. If you have a journal, write on it and say your feelings. I've seen it before, like, things that I write down, they come to pass, and so if you're gonna be out here writing negative things, it's not gonna work for you. And so, like, have a positive outlook, write down your feelings, document everything, and like, stay in God. So that's the message that I have, and this is actually like a therapy session. I think I should be doing this more often. I feel so much better, like, I feel, and that's my testimony in waiting, and maybe this will encourage someone somewhere. I don't know. Keep having faith in God. The same God who took me through COVID, who took me through a car accident just a month later, would be able to take me through this. So, like, 2021 is literally just a whole test and trial for me, and I know I'll stand victorious through it all, and I'm declaring it right now. See you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Love you. Bye.